AM show.
It certainly is. I'm about to tell you, you're all about to get a pay rise. Hip hip hooray! And joining us now to tell us more is Robert Walters, the country manager for Robert Walters, Shay Peters. Shay, g'day, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you, mate.
Thank you.
Pay rises next year, is it?
I think so. I think that what we can see right across the board at the moment is a lot of pressure on the labour market. I think we're almost at full employment. We're about 4% unemployment at the moment, which basically means everyone's in a well-paid job.
So, see, that's a huge claim to make. Not the full employment thing, but everyone's in a well-paid job.
When I say that, I think relatively speaking, everyone's going to be looking at getting an increase or a slight increase next year. I think what typically puts pressure on salaries is when we're in a tight labour market and things start to change, and we are seeing next year as being an election year. So what's going to happen there is we're going to see a slight change in focus, and the government try to get a lot of projects over the line, and that's going to create job flow.
Yes, and we've already seen that. I mean, capacity is New Zealand's problem. We have to go overseas to find foreigners to work in New Zealand. How do we find the foreign workers compared to New Zealand workers? Is there a big difference?
Oh no, I think foreign workers, and if you go travel anywhere, like when New Zealanders and Australians go overseas, I think that they're valued because they come and do a job, they're there and they work hard. Same here when I think we see expats arrive in New Zealand.
Yes.
They're highly valued. The issue that we're going to have is obviously with tighter immigration laws in certain sectors now and in certain areas and at certain levels, that's going to put pressure on the job market.
Yeah, are New Zealanders, do we have the skills though? I mean, have we got the skills there to demand the pay rises?
I think we do have the skills, but we also need diversity of thought, and I think diversity of thought comes in through the likes of immigration. People bring different ideas and suggestions to how we
they're also desperate for a start in life as well, and depending on where they've come from, they will work. There's no such thing as weekends here in New Zealand. There's no such thing as nights. They will work like we won't.
That's correct. And I think if we focus in the professional sector just for a moment, we are going to see a shift in focus with the government really trying to get projects over the line, and I think that's going to stimulate a little bit of growth. And any time there's movement, then that creates probably a slight increase in salaries.
You need workers. I mean, every employer I speak to, no matter where you are in the country, they all have the same message. You'd hear this more than I would. They can't find decent staff.
That's right, and if we tighten up immigration, which we have done recently...
Not much, though. We haven't tightened up that much.
Well, I mean, you say that, but I think from my personal experience and what I've seen, and even in my own organisation, when we tightened up the areas between... I think we had a slight... we had an advantage over Australia for a couple of years because we could pick up workers between the $55,000 salary band and the $80,000 salary band. That's going to be taken away from us. So that's going to put even more pressure on the labour market because those are the doers that you're talking about in a professional sense.
What's the average salary in New Zealand these days? What's the average income of a singular person?
I think that's a tough question. I think the average salary probably sits at around $60,000.
I was going to say 60, 62, somewhere in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what about equal pay? Where are we at with man versus female?
I think equal pay is... I think we're almost there. I think where we see the issue with equal pay is actually at level of seniority. So it's not around people getting paid the same amount for the same job. It's more around level. And I think we're seeing a lot of gender equality now moving through the ranks, and that's going to start to even out at the top. But the real issue around equal pay, I think we're actually addressing it quite well.
If everyone gets a pay rise, as you're foretelling, won't they just put an inflationary pressure on everything? So it will mean diddly squat because everything goes up, because now the labour costs of everything go up. So you're getting more pay at the bottom, but you still got to pay more for what you want.
I think that is going to be probably a macro factor of what's going to happen around the economy. But I think when we're talking about salary rises for next year, we're not talking massive jumps, but we are talking slight incremental increases.
Is that 1% stuff, is it, or 2%?
No, I think we're probably seeing around 2.5%.
Yeah, and that's what's reflected in all the surveys as well. Which, I mean, the government is leading the charge on this. 3% pay increases across the board for public servants. It's pretty good, isn't it?
It is, but that also the New Zealand public sector is a big employer.
Yes,
and that has a big impact especially in the Wellington economy.
Yeah. Who's doing well? I mean, so who will be demanding the pay rises next year, and what fields? I mean, are we talking IT, and what is it?
Yeah, I think technology, and I think we need to probably stop thinking about it as IT.
Yes.
I think the technology sector is really taking a boom in New Zealand.
But 80s, is it? IT?
It is a little bit.
Yes, okay. Let me scrub that out then.
No, but I think what we are seeing is the rise of the commoditisation of data is a big issue.
Yes.
And that's a big factor. And now we're seeing how people are... jobs are being created that never existed before.
Yes.
And technology sector is moving forward. I think recently we saw that technology might outstrip primary services as one of our biggest exporters within the next 5 years.
Yes.
And that's a big change.
That's a massive change. And there'll be more change as well. We just don't even know what we're preparing for. That's the thing.
Correct.
Country manager for Robert Walters, Shay Peters. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
23...